Hey, paisanos!
My name's Jeff.
What kind of nonsense is this?
Guess what?
It's showtime.
Who's responsible for this?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
I ought to beat your brains in. I think I will.
Hey, what's good, baby? Tonight we are going to be doing our second episode ever of this podcast, and with me, obviously tonight, is my good friend Zach and co-host. Kevin is not going to be here for this one tonight, but we have a few different things kind of lined up, ready to go. How are you doing tonight, Zach?
Oh, I'm doing good, buddy. What's good, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Had a good bit of sleep today. Drank a bit too much last night for just for celebratory purposes.
Yes, you had a birthday.
Yeah, I had one, but I lost it.
I don't know where it went. It's gone. Well, happy birthday, my friend.
Hey, thanks, man. Feels like my knees just gave out the very day of, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It'll probably work itself out.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the more jaded I become. So it's just like that and the more my back starts to give up on me. So I think.
See, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the whole body fucking up thing comes with the age. Just like each time you get older, you're just like, oh, there goes another thing.
No, well, see now, is it that the body fucks up more as we age, or is it just that we're not doing as much because we become more comfortable, so we feel like our body's fucking up more?
You know, I feel like it could be both, because I feel like now ever since since the whole COVID thing that's been going down, everybody's been staying inside more. It's like my body has not been the same since. It's lazy, it's tired all the time. It's always aching.
Yeah, my main thing whenever we get out of this whole thing is I'm gonna start going to the gym again, and first thing I'm gonna do is go to a place that's around here where I live called Meg O'Malley's. It's like Irish pub food joint. Oh my gosh, they've got the best stuff over there, but they're closed right now because of the whole COVID situation. They've been doing renovations, which honestly, best time to do it. So.
Oh yeah, might as well. That's like the first thing I'm gonna do because I know where I live, people are just going ahead and going to the gym and doing shit. But I'm gonna wait for a little bit. I'm one of those people I'd rather play safe than sorry, and I'm gonna wait till this is less of a threat, and then I'm gonna go back to the gym and start getting back into shape, or at least get to where I feel better again. Because it's usually when I go to the gym, it's not about trying to look good. It's more about just feeling good.
Yeah. No, for me, it's definitely it just makes me feel better to go to the gym. It's one of those things where you obviously always have some folks who they'll start at the gym, they'll overwork themselves immediately, and then they don't go anymore. Yep. To anybody out there, one of the big things that I would want to promote if you do come out of this and you decide, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, or even if you just start to go for whatever reason, just remember it, wherever you go, don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing. Don't compare yourself to other people's metrics who obviously are gym rats or who have been there for a long time. Mm-hmm. Because that is the number one deterrent, I feel like, for people that try to go to the gym, and then they're like, oh, either I'm really hurting the next day, or you come home from the gym and you feel bad because oh, well, I can only lift this much weight. Gosh, I thought I was better than that. And that's never the thing that you should concentrate on. It's just do whatever feels right for you.
Yeah, exactly. I love going to the gym. And when I start working out and I start getting that rush feeling, that adrenaline, feeling really good, I'm like, yes, this is what it's all about. It's just feeling good, having some time to myself, make my body feel better. And that's really what it's about, people. Just go and enjoy yourself and have a good time and make your body feel better.
I will say, I don't think I've ever gotten the adrenaline rush part of it. And that's why I tell people, it's I actually hate working out. But to me, it's almost it's the end result in some ways, because I don't know. I'm one of those weirdos. I just like punishing myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you like to kind of overdo yourself a little bit.
I tell folks that go to the gym with me, I'm don't if you're just better than me, then you're better than me. I guess is the way to put it. But if you don't go to the gym a lot and you go with me, I tell people don't try and keep up with me if this is your first time, because I pretty much I kill myself whenever I go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, but that's just me. Like, that's how I've always been whenever I work out. So
I had a girlfriend one time that we went to the gym, and she's actually the reason why I stopped going for a little while. Because for some reason, it was like my girlfriend and my first ex-wife was like working at the gym. I was like, oh god, this is a terrible combination. And she would always like. I went to the gym just to like go, just feel better. But she would sit there and like boss me around as I was like doing my workouts and like try to get me to do the shit that she does. I'm like, look, my body isn't built like yours. I'm a much bigger guy and you're a more petite thing. So you do your thing. Don't worry about me. Let me go do my thing. If I do something wrong, I'm pretty sure, some gym instructor or something's going to let me know I'm doing something wrong. But,
yeah.
But as long as I'm, doing something and being active, just let me go do it, please.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it should always be more about doing what's comfortable for you than trying to follow, like... Now, unless you're going for certain instruction, but even if you're going for certain instruction, you need to tell people, like... For instance, me, I've got one of my knees, it's in better shape now, because I've actually, I've started stretching it and doing this and that with it every day, and it really helps it to not hurt like it used to. But basically I've got a bum leg.
Yeah.
Because I got shot blocked back in the day whenever I used to play football, and it was one guy hit me on the shoulder, the other guy hit me like down at the hip, and it hyperextended my leg, and it's always had problems since then. But the big thing that I'll tell people is like anything that's really knee intensive, like I can run or I can do like biking or this or that, but if you try and get me to do like I don't know, like a whole lot of squats, for instance, that'll really agitate my knee. Or there are just certain workouts that end up hurting me, so it's like I'm not gonna do those, obviously.
Yeah.
Like kind of no matter what, no matter how good of workouts they are. Like squats, I can do like 50 to 60 squats in a day without weight on me, of course, because once I start adding weight, that's when my knee starts hurting. Right. But if I try and do more than that, the next day I'm kind of limping around a little bit. So
it's like the only workout that really gets me is push-ups, and that's because I guess it's because I have carpal tunnel and arthritis, and that really irritates it the next day for some weird reason.
Push-ups just always suck. It's literally just you against gravity and your own weight.
Yes, so I try to avoid doing push-ups as much as possible. There's other ways to get the same results. I'm not going to rely on push-ups.
Don't get me wrong, though. Push-ups, if you're at home right now and you're trying to use this time to kind of do some working out, just push-ups, sit-ups, squats, stuff like that they're all really good, and you can do them in a way that gets some cardio running. Like doing you don't want to do push-ups too fast because you might hurt yourself, but switching off between workouts quickly will get your heart rate up, and it essentially it becomes a good form of cardio. But push-ups, I got to the point where I was doing this is kind of goofy, but I was doing the One Punch Man workout, with some other stuff added in. So I started doing 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, the push-ups, this and that, and then I would go for a jog, or I would play an hour and a half or so of Beat Saber. That was actually a really good workout, kind of just because of the fact, it did kind of kick my butt.
Right.
But the big thing about that though is even though I was up to 100 push-ups a day, I still hate push-ups.
I don't blame you at all. They suck.
They do. They're probably the least fun workout.
So I wrote down some notes here for what's been going on throughout my week in between episode 1.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want to share is I actually had a dream that involved you and me, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Do tell.
So in the dream, we were it played out like a movie. And we were working for this undercover agent that was trying to basically prove that this movie star had, in fact, committed a murder. But because he's so well known and has, this high status and everything, that it's hard to I guess pin him guilty and or to convict him. And so she needed our help. She was going to pretend to fall in love with him but she needed us to come in and watch his kids for him. So we went in undercover as grannies. And we had like the full body suits where we were like grannies watching his kids, and you were doing your granny voice throughout the entire dream.
Oh God.
It was the funniest thing.
Just go in dressed up. Okay now, dearie. Granny's going to make you some porridge. What's porridge? I'm not, I don't know. I'm not from the UK.
Don't worry, little peppermint time!
Don't worry, children. I know the best porridge recipes. Oh.
But yeah, I woke up from that dream and I like wrote it down immediately. It was like, Charles is gonna get a kick out of this one. That's funny.
God. That literally sounds like one of those crappy movies that came out like between 2000 and 2010.
Yep.
That like all of them had like The Rock, or all of them had like some big action star
like
that like
had
to
or something.
Yeah, well, like that, or like the friggin' movie with Vin Diesel where it's like The Sitter or whatever it was. Then you had like frickin' the one with Jackie Chan where he's the spy next door, whatever it was. It's one of those deals where like that literally just put that thought into my head. It's just like those old crappy movies from that era where for some reason that was a big thing.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought of when I had that drink, because it played out just like that. I was like, that's exactly what kind of movie it's like. So, it was funny. It was hilarious. The next thing I have is I kind of want to. I have another customer story to share with you. Last time I shared about the coffin in the crawl space.
Yeah.
Now this isn't a follow-up to that. This is a completely different customer. But before I get into the customer, I want to ask you something. Do you believe that a lot of celebrities fake their deaths these days and escape somewhere else to kind of like start over? Now, I'm not saying that this is something that actually happened.
That's getting into some weird territory there. That's an oddly specific question, Zach.
Yeah, well, okay, so the reason why I ask you this is, and I'm not saying that this is actually who I'm about to say who I think it is. I'm not going to say that this person is not without a fact passed away or not.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be disrespectful to the actor or their family at all. But I had a customer way out in like the ass crack of the woods where it's like rich people live, but it's like really far out so they can have their privacy. And this house was huge. Like this house was like huge and amazing and immaculate. And the customer, I kid you not, looked just like Robin Williams. Just like Robin Williams.
Huh.
Now, he didn't sound like him, but then I was sitting there thinking, I was like, well, then, Robin Williams, he's a man of many voices. It wouldn't sound like he could be whatever he wants to be. And, of course, he was also wearing a face mask, so I couldn't make 100% determination. But at the same time, it's like, I know Robin Williams passed away. I know he did. I'm not saying that he faked his death. But what made this scenario so weird was that they were watching certain Disney movies, and there was a ton of Robin Williams memorabilia in this home. A ton.
Huh.
Which made it even more interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it does make you think. It's one of those deals, I'm sure there are still some celebrities out there that like kind of do that because they're just tired of like how busy things can tend to get. I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's just how busy that lifestyle can be.
Oh yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are some instances where you see some of the movies that some of these folks are in, and it's not their fault, like, that like they're in a shitty movie. It could just be that it's a shitty movie, not that they're a crappy actor or anything, but it's one of those deals where you'll watch something and you'll think like, wow, that's like, they got $40 million for doing this? And then it's like, yeah, think about how much crap they have to take afterwards, though.
Mm-hmm.
From like running into fans and like just being lambasted online and this and that going on. I can see that it's a very high stress job. Now, would I be one to say like that you deserve to make millions in that position? I don't know, but it's not really my call to make. But it is one of those things that it does make you think like, well, they got to put up with a lot of shit also. So.
Yep. With the fame comes the hate and a lot of crazy stalkers and all kinds of problems. But yeah, like I said, I'm not saying without a doubt that Robin Williams, do not take this. Anybody out there listening, please do not think that I'm saying that he's alive. I'm not trying to disrespect him or his family at all, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, maybe that's why he has all the Robin Williams paraphernalia. Maybe people just tell him he looks like Robin Williams.
yeah, and that was another thing too. I was like, it's like maybe he just gets that a lot, and so he just kind of does it as like a joke or something. I don't know, but it was super, super interesting because I was like, what if? But anyways, the last thing I got written down here for my week, and this is kind of something that I've just kind of noticed, and I don't use dating apps very much. I've been actually kind of away from the whole dating world for quite a while now, for like maybe a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I like to get on there and like on Tinder, and I like to swipe, and just kind of like go, okay, she looks interesting, she's pretty cool, and no, not her, and oh god, But the one thing I've noticed about these dating apps is girls and their expectations of guys starting the conversation every time. Anytime you swipe yes on a girl and it's a match, they'll never, 9 times out of 10, they're going to expect you to start the conversation. And if you do start it, you always have to try to come up with something clever instead of just like, hello, how are you doing today? Or, hey, so-and-so, how are you? And so what I usually do is I like to find like a gif of like a dog saying hi or Stitch saying hi or something. But I did like the typical, hey, how are you doing today? And she was like, really? That's the best you got? Try again. I'm just like, you know what? No, I don't even know who you are. You really have no value to me. Why should I even sit there and put that much effort into somebody I don't know? So it's just kind of like, I think it's weird that girls have the audacity to have such a mentality to think that they expect so much out of guys to start the conversation in these dating apps. And that's just kind of me venting, basically from what the little time I've spent on Tinder or any kind of dating app. But that's pretty much all I've got on my notes.
Yeah. See, not a whole lot too interesting happened to me. I guess I can go into two little things. Neither one of them are very big, but they both had some obvious implications. So just basically, one of those things where Florida, God, I'll tell you what, the drivers down here are always just so crazy, and anyone I've talked to, almost always agrees with me, no matter if like they were born and raised here or if they moved here. It's always like how nuts Florida drivers are. And literally the other day I was coming home, coming across the causeway actually, which would be the worst place to have an accident. And like I'm talking to my dad on the phone, like kind of discussing some stuff. And I look in my rear view and this van almost runs like this little truck off the road. And like literally I just watched him like swerve over into the lane, almost hit this guy, and I was just kind of watching like, oh my god, are you guys serious? And luckily like nobody got hurt, but it is one of those deals where I think down here so many times, like I can't count on both hands the number of times that I've almost been in an accident down here just because people don't pay attention. And so we like probably the scariest one I had, this was a little bit back, but was driving, go check out a job interview, just in a different, in like a different county down here. And this steel truck was behind me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like kind of driving in front of him, and I was like, you know what, this guy's hauling a lot of stuff. I'm kind of worried if we have to stop suddenly, he's going to hit me. So I get over into the other lane, just like, I'll just be safe, whatever. Well, literally not even like 5 minutes later, we come up on a light and it turns red, so I stop. And then this steel truck goes like skidding through the light because all the weight on his like truck bed just like jolted him forward.
Ooh, damn.
And I was just like, oh, that's some Final Destination shit right there.
For real.
Like that scared the hell out of me. Damn. Because it's just this giant steel truck just it's like I almost died.
Take that, Death.
Exactly, but see now I'm just on the constant worry that Death is just waiting around every corner, and I'm just so careful that he's like, fuck, I can't just do it now. It needs to look like an accident.
Now he's expecting it. Shit. Yeah, I know what you mean though. Like those truck drivers, they go way too
Oh,
fast
yeah,
than what
yeah.
they should.
Well, and it's one of those things that I'm sure if I would have been in front of him, then he probably would have stayed a good, a good distance back.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably wouldn't have happened. He would have been more careful, but it still scared the crap out of me.
Oh, it would scare me too.
The other one, here's another story from the bathroom at work that happened.
Oh, here we go. I've been waiting for a part 2.
No. This is not a part 2. This is just a different one.
Okay.
So when I'm at work, right, one of the big things is I tend to go to work. If I have something that I'm heating up, I'll heat it up. And I take my fork and I'll wash my fork because my fork is usually not disposable, right?
Right.
I put it in my pocket, and these shorts I was wearing this day, the pockets on them weren't particularly tight or anything. So I go to use the bathroom, like you do at work sometimes. And as I'm getting up, my fork comes out of my pocket and clangs on the bathroom floor and starts sliding a little bit. And a dude that's standing over there washing his hands turns and looks at me. And I just looked at him and I was like, this isn't what it looks like.
I swear.
Well, he said to me, he was like, yes, what everyone needs in the bathroom, a fork. It was just I was torn between saying, look, buddy, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up just going with, I was like, look, man, I just got done eating lunch. That's all this is. Then I was like, wait, no. And I didn't get done eating lunch in here. Then I realized I just made it worse.
Sometimes I like to pick up my poop and examine it before I put it back in the toilet.
Listen, man, sometimes you just have a hard time, that's all I'm going to say. Sometimes you just have a hard time.
I understand.
That's all it is.
While we're on the subject of bathroom and poop, I'm going to try to keep this as less detailed as possible for the
please do. Please do.
sake of the audience. But I have one of those systems, every morning, it's like clockwork. I have a bowel movement, and I have to go. And it's always on time. Every single morning, I go to work. As soon as I arrive at the office, gotta go to the bathroom.
I know that feeling. It's literally my time to go is almost always 15 to or 10 to 15 minutes before I leave for work. And it's one of those things where it's really fucking annoying because it's always just all right, well, now I gotta rush to work. So
yeah, but see, my bowel
again, not to get into any details there, but. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Mine's become more like a running joke for people at work now. They'll be like, "Morning, Zach. Well, have fun in the bathroom." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, I will." And then one guy's like, "What are you going to your office today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to be writing up paperwork to get you fired." And so he'll make a joke every time I get out of the bathroom.
Oh God.
He'd be like, "So when are you gonna get me fired?" I'm like, "Look, man, these things take time. If I want to get you fired properly, I'm gonna make sure you can't be hired anywhere else." Kind of. So yeah, my poops have become a running joke now. At work,
he says to you, you're like, look, man, the paperwork takes time. And he says, yeah, sounds pretty shitty. It's a dumb joke, but I had to say it.
You had to do it.
I had to do it.
Well, I mean, I got to do it in the mornings because, when I'm at work, I'm always on the go from one house to the next every hour of the hour. So it's I don't have time to stop and use the bathroom. I have to do it now and get it done. If I don't, then I'm going to be regretting it all day long.
Oh, yeah, no, that's, it's one of those things where nobody likes to talk about it. It's not a topic that I think people are generally accustomed to going into, and obviously you don't want to go into too much detail about it anytime, but it's one of those deals, though, where it's funny because it does make me think, if you had, a tally of how much time we spend in the bathroom, in our lives, that is something that would honestly be a little bit interesting, in my opinion, to be like, gosh, I wonder how much time I've spent in the bathroom in my life, just doing anything.
What if that's the first thing you get to know when you die? It's let's see here, total of times you've been in the bathroom, total hours, and they tell you damn, really? I thought it would be less than that.
It's like, gosh, I thought it'd be longer after that one time I went to Taco Bell.
Yeah, like, to be fair, yeah, you were on your phone a lot, so.
Yeah, no, you know what? Like that's true. A lot of people tend to get on the phone while they're in there, so that is definitely a consideration.
Yep. Well, with all the poops and stuff, everything aside, you ready to move on to our next segment?
Yes, please.
All right, let's move on.
What's this?
Hello. Hello, Mo. You better come right over. You're missing one of the biggest things in your life.
Fun? What do you call that fun? That was boring.
All right, everybody, now it's time for Things You Need to Know. Now, this is that part of the show where we both list those 3 random or obscure facts that we feel is interesting to us that maybe you might find interesting yourself. You may find it Google knowledge, but hey, sometimes you may learn something, and sometimes you may say, yeah, I already know that. But it's interesting nonetheless. Charles, you got anything for us?
Yeah, so, first one I was going to go over today. Actually, I don't have a theme this week. I'm just going to say that. Really sorry.
I do, actually. I went with a theme this time.
Oh, hey, I can't wait to hear it. But yeah, no, for the first one here, sorry. For the first one here, I'm sure we've all, we've obviously had to go to the store during a storm. And just the other day, I did witness somebody slip on some of that paint that they always put down. You know, they have to put the markings for, where to go, for the crosswalks, this and that. I almost always notice that whenever it rains, that paint becomes really slippery. And it almost bothers me in a way because it's like, okay, so you have a place that they don't want accidents happening. They don't want people getting hurt. You don't want lawsuits or anything. But they almost always use this really slippery paint. So it's one of those things where I kind of looked it up.
They make good YouTube views.
Yeah, no, I mean it can, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's like apparently the reason why that happens, because I thought about it and I was like, that there's got to be something that these places are doing wrong, and apparently. I did look it up, and of course, it's on a lawyer's website. Is the main thing that I found this from. But they're saying it literally costs pennies to not let this happen, and apparently it's places would just need to put sand down before they paint, and it would cause a gritty surface where water can't pool, and force you to hydroplane. And I just looked at it and I was like, huh. So I don't guess the type of paint they're using is the culprit, but it does kind of fall into that thing of these places probably should do something about that, because I see a lot of slips, I see a lot of falls whenever it's raining out. And the thing is, we're here in Florida, so to me it's almost just go over to the freaking beach and grab a handful of sand and throw it down before you paint, man. I don't know.
For real, you got plenty of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's everywhere. It's all over the parking lot already. Just get a fucking broom, sweep it over there, man. Yeah. Paint over it. I don't know.
Can you mix sand with paint and cause the same effect?
I don't believe so. Mainly just because I think that you just end up getting really gritty paint. I mean, maybe that would work, but I feel like all your sand is going to go to the bottom of the barrel. Then you're going to have to stir it really well and then paint immediately. I don't know, man.
I think you got a point there, but yeah, it's interesting that.
It's interesting that companies take that risk when it's apparently so easy to not let it happen.
I don't know.
Especially in this sue happy world we live in right now.
I guess they feel since it's outside the store, it's not their problem. But then again, if it's in your parking lot, it's still technically your property. So yes, it is your problem. Don't know. I have seen many people slip and fall on paint like that. So it's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If you add in the little whoop sound effect to it, then it's kind of funny. But.
Yep.
Nonetheless, it's it always worries me because obviously your people most at risk for that are going to be older folks, and then that's where you can get into the real people getting hurt very badly kind of situation. So that's just one of those things where I'll say just be safe, everyone. Throw some sand down on the paint whenever you see it.
Yeah. Throw some sand down, or just walk around it, over it, whatever you can do. Just avoid it, please.
See, I just do the penguin walk whenever I go over paint whenever it's wet. Just kind of waddle back and forth and keep both my legs right underneath me, so my center of gravity is nice and centered, if you will.
And penguins are the most clumsiest birds of all.
Yeah, they're clumsy, but I mean they're clumsy, but the way they walk is actually pretty stable if you have to do it.
I can't argue with that. So my things you need to know, like I said, is all themed. It's basically kind of related to my job. I work in pest control, as you all know now. And I was sitting there thinking about it. I had a lot of these different types of appointments, these 3 specific appointments throughout the past 2 weeks, and kind of made me think about it. I was like, I wouldn't mind getting some of these insider information, some knowledge for people who are maybe experiencing these problems. So the first thing I want to talk about is German roaches. If you don't know what German roaches are, they're the kitchen bug. They're the one roach that you're going to see in your kitchen, most likely. They tend to hide behind fridges, stoves, microwaves, and through your dishwasher. And the reason why they do that is because they produce a lot of heat, and it's a great microenvironment for them. So there's a lot of great harboring areas for roaches to hide in those areas. Plus, it's also very damp, very dark as well, and it's hard for you to reach them in that area. German roaches are probably the most smartest roach out there, in my opinion, because they know your schedule. They have it memorized to a T. As soon as you go to bed, they know when you're in bed, because they're going to come out, they're going to breed, they're going to gather food, and they're going to head back and go back home. German roaches are also the most aggressive roach that you can ever deal with, because they're the hardest roach to deal with. They populate fast. And usually when I deal with a German roach infestation, you're dealing with generations of German roaches. So like we're talking generations upon generations of German roaches.
Oh yeah.
And so whenever I get a customer that has me, they're like, just spray here and here and that'll be fine. Like, no, you don't understand. We're dealing with German roaches. And if you want to know what German roaches are, go Google them real quick. You can tell they kind of look like the shape of a leaf. They're very light brown, and they have 2 white stripes that go down their wings. That's how you know it's a German roach. And the reason why you don't want these little bugs is because if I put a glue trap down in your kitchen and you have German roaches, I guarantee you that glue trap's going to be full before the end of the week. It's going to be completely full of German roaches. So here's a little tip I'm going to give you guys. If you cannot afford a pest tech, which I highly recommend you do, but if you can't...
You highly recommend they don't afford a pest tech.
No,
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. I highly recommend that you do... Yes, I highly recommend that you do hire a pest technician that has specialized in German roaches, because there's a lot of... if you're going to attack something or try to take control over German roaches, because all 3 of these bugs I'm about to list today on the things you need to know, these are the hardest insects that people have to get rid of, and it's because you need to really study their biology more than anything. I had a hard time getting rid of German roaches in my first year of pest control. It's because I didn't really know the biology of German roaches. And I asked my pest manager, what can I do to get rid of these? And he goes, well, just go home and Google them and study them. And I did. And now I'm extremely successful. Every German roach job I have, I'm completely successful with. So here's what I recommend if you're going to do it on your own. Clean out everything in your kitchen first. Clean everything out of the cabinets, the cupboards, everything. Get everything out. All the food, everything. Cover it up. If you have any boxes that you have gotten from restaurants or places like Walmart or wherever they give you free boxes, check those boxes before you bring them into your home, because German roaches love to hide in those boxes. Restaurants, you can get German roaches from restaurants, so be very careful if you work in a restaurant. That's how restaurants get German roaches, is by the employees. They'll bring their backpacks in and they'll set them down, and next thing you know, boom, the whole restaurant's infested with German roaches. But to deal with these things on your own, now keep in mind that the products I'm about to list here, they may vary from your state to state of if you can legally use them or not. So do some research on them. Read the labels first, because label is law when it comes to pest control. And most of the stuff is plant-based. And I want to kind of stress that to you. And, especially for people like in California or something, I know plant-based materials is very important to them. But if you're going to do this on your own, get everything out of the kitchen first. Get this product called PT565. Now, before you spray that, it's a fogger. before you spray that, you're going to need to get something called Tempo SC. It's a green-based product. It comes from the pyrethrum plant. Also get an IRG product. The best one I would recommend is Gentrol. The reason why I recommend an IRG product to mix with Tempo is because that's a growth regulator that helps stunts their growth, shrinks their wings, and shuts down their reproductive system. So with that, you're already controlling the population that way, but it's not enough. Because remember, you're going against generations of roaches here. Spray everything down first. Your cabinets with that IRG and Tempo. Spray the cabinets all on the inside. Spray all the baseboards. Spray every crack and crevice you can find. Open your dishwasher, and you'll see on the sides there's an opening gap between the wall and your dishwasher. Spray that too. Spray behind your stove. Spray behind your fridge, and then take something called Tempo dust or Delta dust and put the dust in all the places you cannot reach. I recommend doing this for dishwashers, for behind the stoves, refrigerators, plumbing voids, wall voids, you name it, put it there. Then take some roach bait. You can easily find roach bait on Amazon. Get some roach bait and just open up your cabinets or look underneath your cabinets, places where you would never normally look, and just put roach bait along the line of your cabinets, because no one's going to see it. You're not going to see it. You're going to forget about it even being there. The roaches aren't. They're going to eat it. After you're done doing all that, take your fogger, which is 565, and start fogging the whole area. Put on a mask, and I'm talking like a respirator. Put a respirator. This is serious. I mean this. Do not breathe this stuff in because it will cause respiratory failure. Put on the respirator and start fogging the whole kitchen. Make sure there's
It may be good. It may be good then to also give like a warning to folks. If you're not experienced with that kind of thing, if you've never applied something like that before, then that's kind of where Zach means like just it may be better to hire an expert. Yes,
exactly. And if you're gonna do this, you need to turn off your autopilot, and you need to get all your animals out of the house. Once you apply this fog, though, leave the house, go for a walk, go eat at a restaurant or something for about 2 hours, come back, open up a window to kind of let the air come through, and you should be okay. After 2 hours, it's fine to come back. It's safe. It may smell weird, but hey, you're fine. But that's why I say in the beginning, it's best to hire a professional first before you try doing this yourself. But if you cannot afford a professional, this is how you do it. This is how I do it, and this is how I know a lot of other technicians do it. So there's a little bit of German roach information there for you.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that we can use. That's like we get roaches here sometimes, and again, that's part of living in an apartment building. Is we can keep our place clean as we can, but we have no idea how the people downstairs or the people next to us or the people upstairs are. And so it's like there's no way to keep roaches out if everybody isn't doing their part.
Right, exactly.
So for here, we just mainly keep it as clean as we can. We'll find like a roach every now and then, but we just use boric acid.
That's also really good.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just put that around like in the back corners, like under the stove, around the fridge. Some of it in like the top corners and areas that we just don't normally see. Like just because it's one of those things where they'll walk through it, they'll kind of have their own thing that'll go on with that. So.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me too, like, can't I use diatomaceous earth? And a lot of customers really think that that's a good idea, and I'm gonna say no.
I don't even know what that is.
Diatomaceous earth is like it's an ocean type. I don't really exactly know what it is, to be honest. It comes from the ocean, but there's some people who say that they will do like a teaspoon of that stuff and it helps with like stomach parasites and stuff. I, on the other hand, do not recommend you ingest any of this stuff. The reason why diatomaceous earth works for bugs is because that's like little tiny shards of glass that is cutting the bugs up. You're basically killing them by dehydrating them because it's shredding them to pieces is what it's doing. They're bleeding out. And so it's not really a humane way of doing it. You know, you're torturing them is what you're doing. Diatomaceous earth also has been proven to be a cause of cancer. So be very careful if you're using this as a part of your diet. It can cause cancer.
Well, and it's also in terms of killing bugs. Just because I know there are some folks out there that it's I know bugs don't normally register on that scale of like things that we necessarily care about. Like people just smash flies, do this and that. But it's also, you need to think of it this way, that if you're using something like that to kill bugs, the only thing you're killing is the bug that ingested it. You're not like taking care of the hive, so to speak.
Exactly. And when I work in pest control, a lot of people say like, you must really hate bugs. Like, no, if anything, I have a major respect for bugs. Certain insects.
I love bugs. That's why I kill them.
Especially for the next bug fact I'm gonna give you guys, but I'm gonna let Charles take it. But before I can go on, I'm gonna say no. I do not hate bugs. I don't like killing bugs. It is my job though. However, it is a very interesting job because you have to think like a bug. You have to think like a specific insect. Like if I was a spider, where would I be? Or if I was an ant, where would I go? The temperature is this. Where would I go right now as an ant? And it's very interesting because it's almost like playing a cat and mouse game. You have to think like them and adapt to their scenario.
Oh yeah.
To be able to outsmart them.
It literally turns into that. I like to use this term a lot, but it's like it's just that arms race theory.
Yes.
Of it's like as you find out new ways to like kind of take out the enemy, so to speak, or in this case, kill the bugs, they'll try and find new ways to not die. I think it's like. I don't want to say this for sure because I don't know, but it seems almost like it could be a rapid evolutionary trait almost, where they can make so many generations in such a short period of time that it's like they adapt very quickly to like, okay, don't go there.
Well,
or
actually,
don't do this.
You're right about that. Roaches are known for doing that. That's why we always recommend to technicians to switch products or use 2 different products because they can be adapted to one product, but they can't be adapted to 2 products at once. They can adapt to one, but not 2. Same thing goes for ants. Ants are known for changing their biology and evolving. Like, Phantom used to be a big thing back then for pest technicians to use against ants. Now ants have evolved to where Phantom doesn't really affect them at all. So we had to come up with a new way to treat ants, which is what I'll get into next. And then same thing goes with spiders. Spiders are also known for changing their biology. They can evolve too to where they can adapt to certain pesticides. So they're always evolving, they're always adapting. You're never going to fully get rid of them, and they do play a very important role in our environment. Just know that, people. Like, it's not good to always kill every bug that's in your house. Some bugs do play a very important role around your environment.
It makes me think of that one meme where it's when the spider that lives in the corner of my room comes down and I find him on my desk, and it's that picture of gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but it's that picture of him like of the one actor holding the gun up and he's crying.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I'll have to find it and link it in the Discord. But it's a funny picture because it did make me think like, usually if I catch a spider or something, I'll just put it outside. It's like, all right, whatever. But I do definitely get that thought process that people have of like, you've got a bug in your room, but it never really bothers you, and you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, you can chill there. But then like one day you might find it on your desk or something, and it's like, why have you betrayed my trust like this?
Why have you invaded my space?
Actually, that kind of leads me into whenever I was living up in Ohio, I was renting out this small apartment. It was a nice little place, pretty cheap rent. That's one of the main reasons I took it, but it was nice. Had my own kitchen, had my own bathroom, this and that. And I had a spider problem because one of the things about it was an old house and bugs could get in kind of easily. But I had 2 or 3 spiders that lived in my bathroom, and I never really bothered them because they were in like little corners and stuff. They were out of my way, so I was just like, all right, you guys can chill. You'll keep the other bugs out, whatever. Well, then one day I go in there and there are baby spiders all over the place. Like literally in every corner of the bathroom there are baby spiders, just like everywhere. And I go in and I'm like, oh god, this is not feasible. So I actually got a piece of paper and I was just like rounding all of them up onto this piece of paper until I had dozens of baby spiders on this thing, and they were all just kind of sitting like not wanting to do anything because obviously they're baby spiders. And I just walk them out onto my back porch, which my back porch had a bug net on it at the time, but still things would get in. But I just ended up setting them all down there on the floor, and I was like, there you go, be free or something. I don't know. I just can't have like 100 baby spiders in my room. That's not gonna work out.
That's not gonna work for me. We're gonna have to do something different.
I'll tell you what though, I love the spiders though, because and they really liked it whenever I did like if I would use a slow cooker, I'm sure. But I never used the slow cooker because I'd get up in the morning, throw some stuff in it, just be like, yeah, okay, I'll just have some beans or like pot of stew or something like that whenever I get home at night after work. Or I'd get home after work and there would just be flies in the house everywhere because my door wasn't fully sealed. And so, like, I guess flies would smell that cooking all throughout the day and they'd come in. But it was honestly kind of funny because every time I'd come home after that, there'd be like 3 or 4 flies in each web, like from where they wandered into wherever the spiders were.
Yeah. And
I was like, I'm sure the spiders love it whenever I use the pressure cooker. But at the same time, there were too many flies. They couldn't eat all of them. So.
Like, thanks for the food, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess going into foods and strong smells, my second little factoid of the day is, like, I guess kind of, you could say that my theme would just be grocery stores today, maybe.
Okay.
But going to the store the other day, we were kind of walking through an aisle, and I'm sure everyone's seen that Horizon milk. It's the company's Horizon, but it's never in the refrigerator.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, well, it's always like just on a shelf. So I kind of was like, well, milk goes bad really fast, doesn't it? So, like, it always makes me wonder, like, how can they just make a milk and it be actual milk? Because it is 100% dairy. But it's like, how can they make milk and not put it in the fridge? Like, milk goes bad if you leave it out for an hour, hell. But so I kind of looked into it, and apparently how they have to do it is they use a method called ultra high temperature pasteurization, or UHT. So apparently, though, in order to make milk like that, and this is kind of the reason why it's a bit more expensive than your average milk, is because they have to make it in a certain environment where, like, everything is sanitized constantly. Like, they have to use the ultra high temperature pasteurization. And apparently it does make it so that it'll, like, its shelf life, like, it's just like canning anything, I guess. And that's what I really never thought of, is it's just like canning anything. Is if you try and make a thing of pickles, for instance, it's like, oh, well, pickles are really easy to, like, as long as you know the ingredients to put in there and you know to sanitize your bottle and stuff, like, your pickles are going to last forever. And the reason that they last forever is because there's no foreign bacteria in the can that is going to, like, make them go bad. Because, like, in order for things to go rotten or in order for things to go sour, you have to have other bacteria that get into it and that, like, start to reproduce and cause it to rot. So literally, if you just have milk and you get it into an environment where you don't have any of that bacteria or anything, it won't rot because there's nothing there to cause the rot to happen. So it was interesting, but that also ran me back to a story that I heard, and people, you can feel free to look into this, but of, like, and, it's weird that I'm going here from milk, but literally there was a swamp that they found, like, this was probably within the last 50 years, but they found, like, a swamp, and they found dead bodies out there, right?
Okay.
And the interesting thing was that there was, like, no decomposition on these bodies. So they thought, oh, well, hell, there's a serial killer out here. Because all the bodies were out there, they were barely decomposed, and they all had on, like, really extravagant, like, clothes, like, like stuff that you'd see in the Middle Ages or something. So they thought, is this a cult? Is there, like, a murderer that's making these people dress up and then doing this? What's going on? So they brought some of the bodies back to check them, and they started to very, very, very rapidly, like, decompose when they brought them out of the swamp.
So the swamp basically preserved it. The swamp was preserving them.
Yeah. Apparently that swamp had a very high acidity level to, like, the ground and to, like, how a lot of swamps have, like, just a natural sort of wetness. apparently the wetness that was in that swamp, or the humidity, also had this acidic property, and so it made it almost impossible for other bacteria to come in and force decomposition to happen.
Wow, that's really cool. That reminds me of have you ever heard of bog people or bog bodies?
I've definitely heard the terminology before, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Bog people are basically, then they found these like in the early they found it like in 1940s and like during the World War II and all that like era, that there's these mummified people that were being found in these bogs that were very well preserved, but they were very interesting because they had like this really unique outfit on. Their eyes and tongues were missing, and they always had a noose around their neck, and they would find like herbs and certain like herbs and vegetation in their stomach. And I don't really remember why they were that way. I can't remember if they were being punished or if they were being cursed or something. But yeah, anytime you guys get on Google, check out bog people or bog bodies. They're really interesting. It actually inspired me a long time ago when I wrote a comic book. I wrote a comic about called Bogman, and it was supposed to take place back in World War II. And I might actually bring that comic back. But yeah, that's what that just reminded me of, was bog people. That's really interesting. I love stuff like that.
That's one of those things, though, where it's really just got me thinking, like, I don't know, dude, like, thinking about the fact that you do have that kind of stuff going on, that you have, like, these curses, this and that. It's strange, but at the same time, it's like, well, there's no wonder that you get, like, these kind of thoughts of the occult that happen all the time. Like, whenever you had the whole thing about, like, zombies, quote-unquote, in some other countries, and then it turns out that it was just people that were being heavily drugged, so that way, obviously they wouldn't come to their senses and try to leave. But it's like, there's no wonder that you have all these different stories and all this different weird stuff about, like, like that, finding mummified people out in the middle of a bog with all these different ceremonial quote-unquote things going on. I don't know, man, like, that's nuts. Like, I'd hate to be the guy to come across that. I'd feel like I was cursed.
Yeah, exactly. I did it again. I said exactly twice.
Hey, man, no, exactly. Don't worry about it.
Well. All right, so the next little tidbit. Oh, I didn't know if you were finished with your.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt you if you still had more stuff. But that was really interesting how that segued into all that. That was really cool. Like, I got really fascinated with that. But, okay, so what I want to talk about next is another pesky pest that a lot of people seem to have issues with, and they may seem almost impossible to get rid of, and that's because if you don't know how to take care of them, yes, they are pretty much impossible to get rid of. But odorous house ants. They are the little black ants that you see in your kitchen on summer days, or even at wintertime you'll still see them.
Oh, see, we always just called those piss ants.
See, everybody calls them piss ants. Now, the reason why they have the name odorous house ants is because they let out certain odors and smells. Especially if you squish them, they'll let out a weird, nasty smell. But what that is a pheromone that lets all the other ants know either A, food, B, directions, or C, danger. So that's how ants communicate. They communicate through pheromones. And if you squish an ant in your kitchen, that doesn't mean that they're going to go away. That just means they know not to go in that one spot again because they know that there's danger lurking around. And I'll get into more detail about the whole don't squish ants thing after I, tell you a little bit about how they work, how to treat for them, and then why you shouldn't squish them. So odorous house ants. We got them through trade. They are one of the most invasive ant species and the most dominant ant species besides the fire ants that I can think of. Fire ants you may think are almost impossible to get rid of. Not really. If anything, those are the most easiest ants for me to get rid of because they're so dumb. They're just brute force attack with a certain product that I use. I can wipe them all out within one day if I wanted to. That's just how dumb they are. If they weren't so aggressive, maybe they would actually stand more of a chance. But odorous house ants.
You're telling me you don't like killing ants, huh? Or you don't like killing bugs, huh?
Oh no, I don't. I like outsmarting them, and I like learning about them. But yeah, there are times that my conscience does get in the way of my work.
That does make me think now, because you say you like outsmarting them. You go up to a fire ant hive, and you're just like, this isn't even a challenge.
Well, no, fire ants aren't a challenge. I don't get any challenges out of fire ants at all. Odorous house ants, though, that is a pest technician's nightmare. No joke. Because they adapt quick to certain pesticides. And this is one of those ants I was telling you about that can change their biology and adapt to any scenarios is the odorous house ant. The way they work is they're not like any other ant. Most ants, they have a mound, a colony that goes into the mound, and that's where they hang out. Not odorous house ants. When their colony gets too overpopulated, the queen will sit there and be like, all right, you few thousand, 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 go out somewhere, build me a satellite colony, and come report back to me. So if you take out that satellite colony, you're not actually taking out the real colony or the queen, because there's so many satellite colonies and the queen could be anywhere. And a satellite colony could be anything. It could be under a board, under some leaves. It can be in your crawl space, in the insulation. It can be in the attic, in your gutters. It could be anywhere. They don't build mounds. They just colonize anywhere they feel is great. So you get odorous house ants. They're in your kitchen. What can you do? Well, there's several things you can do, actually. You can actually train odorous house ants, believe it or not. What I like to do is called the honey pre-bait trick. So basically what I like to do is I like to train them with honey, because if you get raw honey, they cannot resist it. They go nuts over raw honey. They will stop everything they're doing for raw honey. What I like to do is take that, go every 10 foot around the house, put honey down after I treated the area with this product called Termidor SC. This is also a plant-based product. Now, you need to look this up in your state and see if you can legally use this without a pest license. If not, like I said before, hire a professional pest technician. And if you do have odorous house ants, ask your pest technician to use Termidor SC. Because if he doesn't have that, I guarantee you're probably not going to see success. And the reason why I say that is because Termidor SC basically acts like an epidemic. For each ant that comes into contact with this stuff, it's undetectable. They think it's just water. But for each ant that comes into contact with it, it has the potential of infecting 8 more ants. And then those 8 ants are going to do the exact same thing, and it just keeps going and going and going. And it's a slow killer, but it's effective. I get the most results out of this product more than anything in the world. So what you want to do is spray the whole, and you can only use it on the outside. Do not use this stuff on the inside. Read the label first, too. This stuff is not allowed to be used on the interior, and I feel like as a pest technician, I need to say that. There are, however, loopholes to this. And so it says on the label, if you really are desperate to use Termidor on the inside, here's a loophole. And I'm not joking, this is an actual loophole. I'm not recommending you do it, though. It says it can be used in voids and crevices. Technically, anything that is closed in can be considered a void. So I could take a bait station, spray the inside of that down with Termidor, and there you go. That's a void. And I could put bait in it and bait the ants into that bait station, and they're walking all over that Termidor. That's a legal loophole you can use. I don't recommend it. I don't ever do it. I don't ever use Termidor on the inside. I don't even do that trick either. That's too risky. I'm not going to get my pest license taken away from me that way. I use it on the outside only. You're only legally also allowed to use 1 gallon of that stuff on your house a year. Not because it's deadly. If anything, I think that's I think the labels need to be changed with this stuff, because it's not that bad. Like, it's probably one of the most tame products I've ever seen. It's super effective for ants only, in my opinion. So use it on the outside only. 1 gallon around the entire house. Trust me, you'll have plenty. Just put it in a backpack, mix it with water, mix it properly, and just spray around the whole house. Spray the from a foot up, a foot out. Spray your window sills, spray cracks and crevices, weep holes, wherever you feel. Oh, and crepe myrtles. If you have crepe myrtles, spray your crepe myrtles because those are known for attracting ants. Next is you want to lay out bait. The best bait I can recommend is an ant gel bait. Put it in a, take like a bottle cap and put it in that bottle cap and just put it wherever you're seeing ant activity. Or use taro. Taro's a great ant bait. Put it wherever you're seeing ant activity. Spray the inside with that stuff I told you about before called Tempo SC Ultra, which is also a plant-based that comes from the pyrethrum plant. Then get some granules for the outside called Niban. Niban is basically cornmeal. Cornmeal is not a best friend for ants at all. They cannot handle cornmeal. So
they get really fat and then they die because it's very fattening stuff.
So just take Niban and just lay that stuff out everywhere. What I recommend is if you see a line of them outside, spray the line immediately. For a pest technician, when it comes to odorous house ants, if I see a line, just one little line, that's a field day for me. If I don't see anything at all, I'm worried because then I'm like, crap, now I probably need to search the attic or the crawl space or, anywhere where they could possibly be. So, also, take some dust, like I mentioned before previously. You can take stuff called Tempo dust or Delta dust or any type of dust that is meant for ants. And put that in your plumbing voids. Undo your plumbing voids and spray or shoot that dust in the plumbing voids. Even take it into your bathroom. Undo the little thing on the head of your not inside your actual shower head, but where the plumbing void is against the wall. There's a little cap there, a metal ring cap to separate the void from you and the rest of the world. You can remove that cap and then spray dust in there so they will, because sometimes when it's cold, ants like to hug against your pipes to stay warm. So you can do that. The honey, though, on the other hand, is amazing because you can train your ants to go outside, and you can do this like every few weeks. Go out there, put more honey out, and they'll be more attracted to the honey rather than the inside of your home. And they'll keep constantly crawling on that product without knowing about it. So you're technically training them to basically walk on their own death roll is what you're doing. Now, the reason why I say do not squish ants is because squishing them basically kind of puts us back at step one. I always tell customers, please don't squish your ants. After we've done all this, let them do their thing. Let them be comfortable, let them do what they're supposed to do, because the way we've got it designed is their own activity, their own practices that they do every day is going to be their downfall. We worked it to where they will be their own destruction. Let them do their own thing. If you squish them, what's going to most likely happen is they're going to relocate. And sometimes I see it where they go from the kitchen to the bathroom. And customers be like, well, now I got them in the bathroom. Like, well, did you squish them? Yes. Well, that's why they're in the bathroom now, because they feel threatened in the kitchen because I just laid out all this bait and treated. They know something's going on now, so they're going to the bathroom because, heck, there's not a whole lot of product over there, and they're not squishing us over there. So then we have to start all over again. Another thing that you can do, if you just feel like you just cannot stand seeing them at all, a perfect remedy that you can use, and you can go out into Walmart right now and get this stuff for affordable price, very cheap, and it's a natural remedy. Go get peppermint oil, and you can just take that, put a little bit of peppermint oil into a spray bottle, mix it in with water, shake it up really well, spray your counters down or anywhere where you're seeing ant activity, wipe it down really good, and that will naturally repel ants. They hate the smell of peppermint more than anything.
You know, I've heard that about a few different types of pests, like spiders. I've heard that peppermint oil tends to keep spiders away too. Is that true?
I'm not sure. I've never really used the peppermint oil trick on spiders. I'll have to research that and see. But I know
I've heard it.
Doubt it works for ants.
Yeah. I've heard it just because, like, where they used to say, like, that spiders hate perfumes or they hate really strong smells because it messes with them.
It's a possibility. I'll research that and look into it, and I'll give you a response back on the next episode, so everybody will know for sure. But yeah, without a doubt though, peppermint oil does work for ants. And I actually knew this before I worked in pest control. Before I was working in pest control, my first wife, when she was pregnant with my son Dante, we had peppermint oil, and it was the kind that you would burn, and because it really helped out with her morning sicknesses and stuff. And we had accidentally spilt it, and I kid you not, man, we had no ants in our house for weeks because of that. And it was just a little bit of peppermint oil. So yes, it does naturally repel ants. It does work without a doubt. I always recommend it to my customers because I love doing that. I love recommending alternative solutions that are cheap and that are also natural. And people love hearing stuff like that. They love knowing that you would rather give them insider knowledge of what they can do that's a natural remedy.
Yeah. I mean, in any kind of sales position that I was ever in, one of the biggest things that I feel like made a better salesman out of people is literally be a counselor as much as you can. Be a salesman kind of second, because people can usually tend to like understand that you're genuinely trying to help them rather than just trying to sell them shit.
Oh yeah, and that's what I always try to tell my customers too. Is like, look, I can get rid of them without a doubt. I know I can, and I could sell to you all I want all day long. However, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to help you and your family. When it all comes down to it, this is your home. This is not their home. This is your home. And if you really want to take this serious, I'm going to give you every possible alternative solution you can think of to help get rid of this situation for you and your whole family. I don't care if you pay me that day or not. I don't care if you pay me a week later. I just want to make sure you're taken care of. That's my number one concern. And
yeah,
and I love helping people. That's why I used to tell people before I started this job, people used to ask me, what made you go into pest control? My first response was, because this is the closest thing to being a Ghostbuster that I can be. And the more I started actually doing this job, people asked me again, you know, what made you go into pest control? Like, because I help people. Like, I've formed such a great bond with my customers. I even have customers that'll send me Christmas cards. You know, when I was out of pest control for 2 months, taking a break from my health, I actually had customers calling me up saying how much they missed me and that their house was not the same since I had been gone, and that they said, we don't want anybody else but Zach. He knew how to take care of us. And
yeah,
that's basically my work speaking for itself, saying, yes, I care about you guys rather than making money. I mean, yes, I do need to make money, and it's important for me to make money, but it's also important to know that I'm taking care of people. And so peppermint oil, you can use it today. Great homemade great remedy, natural remedy, and plus your house will smell good. So there's another inside knowledge about pest.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, that's one of the nice things is whenever you can get something that, like, I'm sure that a lot of people appreciate that it's something that doesn't make your house, like, stink. I guess unless you really hate the smell of peppermint, which is possible.
Well, you know, I don't really get a whole lot of complaints about smells. I mean, there are sometimes I do because I tend to lay out more product than other technicians. And But there are certain products that will mess with you, like the Gentrol I recommend for the German roaches. Which, by the way, I may put up a link for you guys. Anybody else who's interested, I used to print this out for my customers. It was like research that I did, and I used to print it out for my customers, just a freebie little facts that I can give them. It's a things that you can do on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis that you can imply into your normal routine in life that will actually help prevent German roaches in the future. And it's not just for German roaches, for any type of roach. So I may actually put a PDF version of that online so you guys can go check that out, and I'll put that in the description for the episode for you guys in case you really want to tackle a German roach situation, you know, in your own time, or even after you've had a professional out there. You can apply this every day and it will make a difference in your life. It's helped every one of my customers, and I'm glad I did it for them. So, but yeah, I don't know where I was going from there.
Yeah, that happens.
As you can tell, when I talk about pest control, and this is why I do pest control, because yes, I am passionate about it. I do all this research termite techs, yes, they do research. They're kind of like the jocks of the business. Pest technicians, we're more like the brainy part of the job. We have so many insects we have to learn about, and when you learn about them, you're like, wow, that's really fascinating. Like, I gotta give them a lot of respect for what they do. You know, a lot of appreciation for how they go on their day-to-day lives and survive. Like Odorous house ants, those are the ones I respect the most because, for one, most of them are all females, and the fact that they are so adaptive and so smart, and they're not like any other ant. I gotta give Odorous house ants a huge amount of respect because, for one, they're amazing to watch, they're amazing to study, and two, they are the biggest challenge for any pest tech, even for me still. I mean, I'm good about getting rid of them. However, I still get a big challenge out of Odorous house ants, and I gotta give it to them, man. They're fascinating. They really are.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess, hell, I don't know. I'm not as in depth as you are right there, but I guess for the last thing here that I kind of got going on, it's I guess the last thing that I was going to look into really was, you know, another kind of health thing, because I think we've all kind of heard this before. But, like, I used to hear this a lot from people, that they would say, you know, that coffee's cardiotoxic, which, you know, basically just means that, quote-unquote, it's bad for you. And this actually comes from an old story. Some people have probably heard it, some people may have not. But there's an old story that basically goes that, like, an old emperor, or, you know, an old king, something, that he thought, you know, like, at the invention of coffee, basically, so, you know, after people found out you could roast a bunch of beans, then make some hot bean water, basically he thought, like, oh, this can't be good for you. So he took a prisoner and he had, like, his personal doctor participate, and they forced this prisoner to drink, I think, like 2 pots of coffee a day, because he wanted to prove that coffee is bad for you, that coffee, like, will kill you. And I'm sure it probably had something to do with trade, like probably some other stuff. But the funny thing about that story is that they say that the prisoner ended up outliving the doctor and the the monarch guy. So they were forced him to drink 2 pots of coffee a day, and he ended up living longer, which, like, kind of combats that cardiotoxicity story. But it's one of those things where I kind of looked it up at one point, because I know caffeine can tend to make, like me, for instance, it can make me anxious. It can make me a little jittery sometimes. Like, I can definitely feel my heart rate raise if I have too much of it. And it made me think, like, oh God, is this, like, am I killing myself doing this? And pretty much, I looked it up. They said that it does increase your heart rate, which there are some studies that kind of suggest that, quote unquote, our hearts beat only a certain number of times over our lifetime. So maybe it could do something. But for the most part, they said that they've not found anything that says that, like, that there's no direct link, typically, between drinking coffee and heart disease. However, it's one of those things where it's it's hard to say, because if you have different dietary habits, obviously you can be raising your cholesterol, or you can be doing this or causing other problems. But they said in general, people who tend to drink, like, maybe 2 cups a day, that they haven't found anything to suggest that there's any problems whatsoever. So kind of interesting, but I've kind of fallen in that camp where I do like 1 to 2 cups a day. So to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's about all I need to know, is that I don't have any problems.
Yeah, I'm a 2-cup kind of coffee guy, so I think I'm okay. Usually, though, coffee's weird for me. Like, a lot of people they say coffee wakes, it depends for me. Like, during the mornings, coffee boosts me and wakes me up. At nights, it puts me to sleep, because it gets me all nice and warm and ready to go to bed. So, but I could see that, though, how coffee can raise your heart rate up. I've had that happen to me before, too. And I also think, too, it depends on what you put in your coffee. You know, a lot of people like to put sugar in their coffee, and or a ton of creamer in their coffee, and I don't think that's actually helping the situation either. You know, your coffee is already stimulating you as it is.
Yeah. See, to me, I'm just a milk guy. Like, I get me some whole milk. Yeah. I put it in there. I put a little bit in there to cool it down a little bit, just to kind of, give it take a little bit of the edge off. But also because if I just try and eat, or if I just try and drink straight black coffee, it tends to give me like heartburn problems sometimes.
Yeah.
So I get putting that milk in there kind of takes a little bit of the acidity out of it. But I know we've talked a little bit about the salt in the coffee, which does like roughly the same thing. But yeah, it's one of those things where if I have too much coffee, like, you know, I head out, I go to work or something, I'm just like, oh God, my stomach.
It wasn't a good idea.
Oh, that coffee is.
I'll tell you this though, if you're having problems though, I mean, coffee for me sometimes also is like a thing that helps me out. Say like if I know that like I need to try to get my morning going to where I need to get everything out in the morning, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yes, we all know coffee is a diuretic, and if you need to get your BMs in line, like how I do throughout the day because I'm constantly on the go, drink your 2 cups of coffee in the morning. I guarantee you your BMs and your bodily functions will be on track. Yeah. It will be on track. No joke.
Now, see, I used to smoke, and literally that was just kind of my procedure for the mornings when I would get up, would be a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And that would, like, literally almost always make me go. I stopped smoking because, you know, one, it's just not good for you. But two, because I started vaping. I quit vaping, though, because I was getting headaches and I was getting, like, some chest pains. And I was like, this ain't good.
Right. Yeah, see, I used to smoke, and I still occasionally sometimes have a cigarette. I don't smoke very much anymore. I used to be bad about smoking, and I finally moved over to vaping. And like I said, every once in a while I have a cigarette, but now it's just like I vape more than anything, and I like the feeling I get because I get more of a satisfaction out of vaping than I do out of smoking. And I know I need to eventually try to stop it altogether, but I mean, shoot, I'd rather be vaping than smoking a cigarette right now. But yeah, that's interesting though about coffee. So just kind of be careful with your coffee, guys. Normally I wouldn't go past 2 cups. Just, you know, stick with a 2-cup limit and see how that gets you throughout the day.
Yeah, just go for a doppio. That's what I used to do when I worked in retail. Yeah, we had a little Starbucks. I would just go order like a doppio. It was like $2. Gave me 2 shots of espresso. That's the word I'm looking for. Espresso. You get 2 shots of espresso for $2. Just drink it before I got back to work, and there you go.
There you go. Good to go. Well, the last thing I've got, which is still theme related, is gnats, dragonflies, and fruit flies. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have this issue with these little annoying pests. And I still have a problem with dealing with them on a day-to-day basis with my job. Actually, and the reason why I brought this one up is because I have a customer, which is a dialysis place, and I have to go there on a weekly basis, which I think is a little bit overkill. And I'm trying to get them down to monthly because I'm like, you guys are spending way too much money. I'm laying out way too much product. I need to alternate. But the reason why they had me come out there more than anything is because they have gnat issues. And the reason why, the reason why they have it is because we thought at first it had to do with the drains everywhere. And that's something I want to mention first, though, when it comes to gnats. Usually, most times that you deal with gnats, the best way to deal with them is to check your drains first. Run some hot water down your drains for about 5 minutes. Then take a teaspoon of bleach and pour it down your drain. Run that for another 2 minutes. Usually, a whole gnat colony or life cycle, they breed in those drains. So it's best to go ahead and treat those drains so you can't have that life cycle going, because if a gnat was born there, it's most likely going to go and breed there. They're creatures of habits. They'll do the same thing over and over again. So treat the drains. Also, check your trash cans. If your trash can's full of gnats, well, maybe you need to start taking your trash out earlier. You know, don't leave the trash sitting out. If you just say was cooking chicken and you put a bunch of chicken bones in the trash, it's best to go ahead and just take that outside now, because that chicken bones, all that nasty rotting food, it's going to attract gnats. You're going to attract them no matter what. So get rid of it immediately. Don't leave it in your house. Don't leave it in the trash. If you have food laying out, pick it up, take it outside. If you have boxes laying out that's got food in it, I see sometimes I go to customers' houses and they have the beer can tree or wall or the pizza box tower, and they'll ask me like, why do I have all these gnats? I'm like, well, this is why. Or because, you know, you have a dirty sink full of dishes, or because you have a trash can that's full of disgusting stuff. And I'll challenge them. I'll be like, okay, well, just try applying this to your life cycle and see, or to your life and see what this does. And of course, I go back the next time to do a follow-up, and they didn't do anything I asked them to
Oh
do.
yeah, I mean that typically happens a lot where it's, you know, also we as humans are creatures of habit in our own ways. So you'll obviously have situations wherein, like, I guess if I had one thing to recommend to folks, it's that if you do call a professional, do be prepared to go ahead and take their advice. Like, they're not going to tell you something that like isn't going to work. Now typically if it costs a lot of money, that's where you know, can obviously be like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, whenever I used to work in, like, doing some lawn care stuff, we had a technician who told me one time that he had quite a few people that he would tell them just that their problem was they ran their sprinklers too often. And then he would leave, and he'd come back, and they'd be running their sprinklers all the time again. He's like, well, your grass keeps dying because you're running your sprinklers all the time. This grass is... Like it's absorbing too much water. That's what makes it yellow, and that's what kills it.
Right. Yep. If you ever hire a pest tech or any kind of professional technician that's been trained and has a license to do this, it's best to just listen to them, because, and this is off topic, but I have a lot of customers that do this to me. I have customers that will question my methods, or they'll sit there and try to compare me to another technician, or they'll sit there and follow me around like a lost puppy, or they'll try to get me to spray this and that when I'm not legally allowed to spray this or that. And it comes down to the point where it's like, you want to say to them, let me ask you something, what do you do for a living? And then they tell me, and I'm like, okay, did you go and get your pest license? No. So you didn't go and take training and classes and studied up for this to get a pest license? No. So what do you know? Exactly. You know, and I can't say that to them, but I really want to say that to them sometimes, because I know, you know, it's like, look, let me do my job, you do your job. Don't tell me how to do my job. Like, I hate it when people sit there and try to tell me how to do my job, because it's like, I know you don't know how to do my job. But if I go into your house and I'm your pest tech, and I suggest, hey, you know, maybe you should, you know, stay on top of the dishes and take out the trash more, or take it out before you go to bed at nights, and, you know, don't leave open food boxes or food everywhere. Maybe you might want to take that into consideration, because I'm suggesting it for a reason. Okay.
Yeah.
So, before I get off that, one more thing about gnats. The best way to treat them is to fog your house and to make homemade gnat traps. To make your own homemade gnat trap, it's very easy. Just get you a Tupperware container, take the lid, poke some holes in it, then take apple cider vinegar and fill it up in the container. Then take a teaspoon of dishwashing liquid and mix it in with that. That's actually important, so they can't crawl out. And then seal it back up, and boom, you have a homemade gnat trap ready to go. And it does work. I promise you that. It does work. So, there you go, people. There's some gnat information for you. There's 3 pest informations I can give you. Oh, yeah, and if you do spray your house with product, spray the baseboards. Every baseboard in the house. And the reason why I
Remember, everybody, gnat facts.
Yes. And the reason why I say spray your baseboards is because if you ever watch bugs, they don't ever really walk in a straight line. Ever. And that's because they don't really have the brain capacity to be able to do something like that. So just, they use baseboards to hug against them to walk in a straight line. So it's always best to spray baseboards. So there's all the pest facts I can give you for today. There you go. There's the things you need to know.
Good news, everyone.
It's called fake news.
News team, assemble!
And that's the way the news goes.
All right, everybody, welcome to the news you can't use. news. Mainly said because we're going to try and stick away from topical information if you're new. We like to look up some of the different news articles, some random stuff. We like to give it to you, because we find it fascinating or funny, or it's just a random little tidbit. So, to start us off, I believe Zach has a news article to share, then I'll share mine.
I do. I got some news for you. And keep in mind, everybody, that all the news that we provide for you, we will provide the news source links for you in the description below so you can go check it out yourself. Because basically what we do is we just write down the article and a couple bullet points here and there and just kind of like introduce you to the news and what we found. So what I got for you today is robot wolves protecting Japanese town from bears. Yeah.
Dang, robot wolves.
Yeah, I found this really fascinating, and the pictures of these things are fascinating. That's why I want you to check out this news source link, because it's very fascinating. Anyways, a Japanese town is protecting itself from wandering bears with a pair of unusual guardians, motion-detected robot wolves. Concerns about an increase of bear insertions into residential neighborhoods this year led to their purchasing 2 new monster wolf robotic guard canines. The monster wolves, which are made from metal and covered in fake fur or made them appear real other to animals, are outfitted with motion detectors that cause them to activate. The wolves then flash red lights in their eyes, move their heads back and forth, and emanate a siren howl that screeches noises all throughout the town. City officials said that the wolves have thus far been effective in preventing bears from entering the town. Now, I think that's interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is. That's very interesting.
I would love to see robot wolves in my town. I mean, that's cool. I would love to see and these things kind of look demonic too. And I think they're awesome looking. So,
I feel like that would scare me though, and in a way also, like kind of walk by, and like these wolves start doing that. And you're just like, oh fuck! Whoa, wait a minute, that's not a wolf.
You just walk by and just starts howling like, shit! Oh god, okay, phew. I'm not a bear. Wait a minute, what are you insinuating, that I'm a bear?
Wait a minute.
Now you wait just 1 minute there.
There ain't no bears in this part of the woods.
But I think that's really neat. I think that's a really clever way of getting rid of bears instead of just the bear traps or like guns or whatever. You know, I think that's awesome that they use robot wolves to ward away bears like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, that's all I got.
All right, well, this, I guess you could technically run this into like kind of scavenger behavior, but for mine today, it's a politician stuffed 4,500 euros into the underpants he was wearing during raid by anti-corruption police. And this one, I guess apparently, this was in Brazil, so Senator Chico Rodriguez insisted that he did nothing wrong, but this was one of those situations where like it was some COVID relief money that was being misappropriated, and police caught on to the fact that Senator Chico Rodriguez may have been using the relief fund money himself. So they raided his place and they found 10,000 reis, or around 1,380 euro, and 4,650 euro inside a safe. They said that apparently he asked to go to the bathroom when the police noticed a rectangular bulge in his pants. They then proceeded to ask him to pull out what was in his pants, and he pulled out a wad of cash. They asked if there was more, and angrily he reached down between his buttocks and pulled out more and more until he pulled out roughly about 4,500 euro.
That's a lot. Damn. Wow.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it may not have seemed like a bad idea to try and hide it in there, but when you're hiding enough that you're making a rectangular bulge, the only thing I could say at that point is just one of the policemen had to look and say, hey, you smuggling money, or you just happy to see me?
Goiter.
Sir, please, this is a condition.
Yeah, this is a medical condition. Thanks for bringing up disturbing thoughts about myself. Now I'm self-conscious again. But no, that's. I think you outdid me this time on the news source here. This That's gold right there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that it did. It made me laugh quite a bit whenever I read it, because it's like they have this whole the whole article. It basically said, "I believe in justice, and I will prove that I have nothing to do with any illicit act." Call me crazy. I don't think an innocent person's going to be hiding a bunch of money in their underwear.
No, I mean, technically, if you really want to be honest here, if I was being robbed or mugged, I don't think they're going to be checking my underwear for my money.
Yeah, I mean, at least I would hope not.
I mean, I'd just take my quarter rolls and put them somewhere. No, but that's you outdid me on the news source. That was good. I like that. Never trust a Rodriguez, ever. All right, well, let's move on to our next segment.
Hey, dude.
Want to talk? I'd love to talk. I'm not talking this damn thing over saw.
All right, everybody, this is the part where we have a special guest on the show, and if you want to join the show, remember you can join our Discord, and you'll know that we're recording. You'll see us in Join the Show. If you want to join the show, you can hop into the waiting room in the voice part of our Discord, and we may be able to pick you out to be in our show. So, without further ado, let's get on with our guest. We have our other Zach, who's in here. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What's up?
Oh, I'm good. What's good, baby?
Another day in paradise, all I can say.
Oh, yeah? What you been up to?
Oh, yeah. Working, more working, and taking care of my reptiles.
Oh, I've been doing the exact same thing except reptiles.
Yeah, I have 3 snakes that I take care of.
Hey, we were talking about reptiles on the last episode.
Yeah, we were actually talking a little bit about snakes. How about you give us some of your personal expertise on, like feeding care, some stuff like that we went over.
Well, the best snakes, like if you're just now like getting interested to owning a snake or reptile for any of that, do your research. I cannot stress that more than anything is do your research. When I first got my ball python, which was my very first snake, it's a very beginner snake alongside a corn snake. I did roughly 4 to 5 months worth of research.
I think that's a smart idea, because we were talking about that last time. Like, you need to do your research first before you own a reptile.
I mean, it's just like with a dog. Like, it's the same concept, just you're dealing with cold blood instead of warm blood. You have to make sure the requirements are right. You gotta have their heat. They actually need water. You gotta have your things.
How do you train your snake by using the little stick with feeding them?
There is rumors and there is actual documentation of being able to train, quote unquote, a snake, but honestly, I don't believe they have the brain capacity to even do that. They just have like 5 modes: eat, drink, poop, sleep, mate. They have no feelings. They have no feelings.
Yeah, what I had read before, this is kind of what we brought up last time, is they don't really have a forward lobe. Mm-hmm. Or a frontal lobe, rather. So it's almost like they mainly operate on instinct, it seems like.
Right. Now, iguanas and monitor lizards, they actually do have a sign of intellect within them. They can actually care. They can actually recognize you and your voice. Those are the only reptiles that I know of that have that, alongside crocodiles and all that stuff.
See, I didn't
Snakes,
even know that.
No. Snakes, no. They just accept us.
So they're kind of like a cat, except they can't, like, claw up your furniture and stuff, right?
Well, I mean, if
just
you let
like,
them roam.
hey. Yeah, they're just like, hey, you're here. What's up?
They tolerate us. With the constant handling of a snake, as long as you know what you're doing, again, by doing your research, knowing what the snake's body language is, you won't get bit. You're doing everything right, you'll have a happy snake. Yeah. The only problem is the upfront cost. I was told by another snake keeper up in Jonesboro that if you're getting, say, like $100 snake, which is pretty normal for like a good snake, pretty snake, expect to spend about 3 times that amount when you're building the cage, getting the heat mats, getting all the other stuff.
See, when I had a bearded dragon, we did the heat mat and everything too, but I swear to God, I feel like that bearded dragon had like the hots for my sister, because anytime my sister was over, that bearded dragon would immediately just tap, 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 just run towards her and chase her, and she'd freak out like, ah! but he loved going near her all the time. But I miss that thing. I miss that thing.
It's the same way with my snakes because I bring them up to Petco and PetSmart, which honestly, get your food from a actual like rat breeder and stuff. I really need to find one. I don't want to really support Petco and PetSmart just because of the bad rap they got for their reptile handling. They have a really bad rap, and it's the only place I can bring my reptiles to. So I bring my snakes up there to actually educate people on they're not demons. They're not wet like a frog. I call that frog mentality.
Yeah, I've always found it very, like, don't get me wrong, I get that people just don't like certain things,
right.
But I've had a lot of people that I come into contact with, and I would tell them that I used to own snakes, and their reaction would be like, to shudder, or to be like, oh god, snakes. It's like,
how do you do that? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's like, they're not that big a deal.
Yeah. I mean, I've had more people than I can count, at least 40 to 50 people over the 3 years I've had my snakes that got over their fear. Straight up got over their fear. They were interested. They felt the scales because I was holding the head on the other side. They felt the scales. Oh, this isn't that bad. And then about 10 minutes later, they're holding the damn thing.
Yeah.
That's what I live for. To teach people.
That's kind of how I was when I was like young. I used to be afraid of snakes, and then I had a neighborhood friend who owned a python, and he put it on me one day, and that dude was just chilling on me, just hanging out, and I was like, okay, snakes aren't that bad. They're pretty awesome, actually. Just pretty chill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just constant handling will get rid of their fight or flight. Basically, they're not in defense when we're holding them. That's why they would bite you, is because they're fearing for their life. They're about to die. Constant handling numbs that to an extent. You can have some snakes that will never get rid of it, and you'll have some snakes that are like, I like you. I will accept you.
You know what it makes me think of, though, is that you do have some of those people that really hate them, and you ask them why, and they don't just want to straight up tell you the real reason, and it's because they don't want to be like, well, snakes are the devil. Like, biblically speaking, it's like, let's not get into that, but it is one of those things where it's like, come on now. People eat figs, people wear mixed fabric.
If you want to get technical, it said he was a serpent, but it didn't say what kind of serpent he was.
Is it bad that I want to take my carpet python to a church?
Oh, you know what? You say that he was a serpent. I wonder now if he wasn't like, wasn't some ancient dinosaur like coming out of the freaking ocean saying, eat the apple, come on, do it.
Go on, eat it. Do it.
It's not a Titan boa. A Titan boa is the ancient the Jurassic equivalent to a snake, and Titan boa was like 50 feet long. You can actually see that in the I think it's in the Smithsonian of a Titan boa. They're huge. They have thousands of teeth.
I actually watched a TikTok video the other day where this guy had hand cared for a venomous snake for months now. And he like tried to prove a point saying not all snakes are bad, even the venomous ones. He's like, you just got to properly take care of them and train them. And I mean, he was taking care of a cobra, and this cobra was like just loved him. And
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, wow, that I never really would have thought about that, because I always thought venomous snakes were like assholes compared to like just regular snakes, but I was wrong.
Yeah. Are you talking about Chandler?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Chandler's Wildlife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kevin's is a star. Kevin's amazing. That's the King Cobra's name.
That does remind me, though, of that one old video from, like, I don't know, probably like 10, 15 years ago, where it's this dude down in a snake pit, like probably in a different country somewhere, because it's, just a big hole, and there are a lot of look like cobras, this and that in there everywhere, and one of them kind of strikes at the guy, He just turns around and looks at it, then slaps it on top of the head. It's like it's a mean video, but at the same time it's hilarious because the guy doesn't have like a stick or anything. He just like leans over and just like slaps the thing on the head.
What the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of here.
Well, it's a really painful looking slap because he hits it and its head goes down and its chin like hits the floor. Then it slithers away.
Oh.
And it's just funny because it's some dude in a snake pit with no protection or anything, and he just slaps a freaking snake.
Is this
a cobra?
Is he like cleaning out the snake pit or like feeding them or something? Because that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think he was in there collecting a few of them for something. It's like I said, I don't know the exact context of why the guy was in there, but it's just like he's just in there in like, jeans and a t-shirt with a bag. So I think he's collecting a few of them for some reason. But
and you see like all these cobras in the background just like standing up looking at him.
Yeah.
Cobras are like probably one of the most visually quote unquote smart snakes you can find because their eyesight is as good as us, if not better.
I didn't know that.
Because that's why they are able to track you so well. I mean, they'll look you dead in the eyes and know where your eyes are.
What's the snake with the horns?
That's
with horns.
Yeah, there's
horns.
an actual.
You mean Satan?
No, there's an actual snake with horns.
I know what you're talking about. That's another venomous snake.
I know you've got like vipers that just have all of the that their scales are like up protruding like horns.
That's called keels. Their scales on them are keeled. It's kind of like a hognose snake in a way, or a rattlesnake. They actually have texture, unless like a smooth snake, like a boa or a carpet python.
So, I'm guessing that's like one of those where it's like that's kind of how it makes it easier for them to climb trees and stuff, right?
That, and depending on what environment, like hognoses, they're burrowers, and they said that their keeled scales help them with burrowing, which even I would have to do more research on.
Yeah.
Sidewinders, I mean, they have keeled scales too, and they live in the freaking deserts.
I love sidewinders, just like watching the freaking videos of sidewinders out in the desert, because it just looks like it's a piece of trash that's like blowing along just blowing along the ground.
Yeah, and that's actually a locomotion that they have described of snakes. Like, I believe there is rectilinear, which is a new one they found out, and that's what boas can do when they move straight in a line. They got that sidewinding, which is a sidewinder, and they have another one I can't remember off the top of my head where they go back and forth in an S. I forgot what that one's called. And there's another one that completely loses it. But I know rectilinear is relatively new locomotion that they discovered in the reptile, specifically snakes.
So we've been sharing a lot of snake love, but if there was one snake out in the world that you were completely terrified of, what would it be?
Oh, that's a hard one because there's a lot of snakes that terrify me, and it's not even venomous. Honestly, I would have to say a rock python, an African rock python. They have the biggest temperament of any python, and I don't want to mess with them. I don't want to mess with them because they are like in defense mode and stay out of my territory mode 110% of the time. 110%.
Put him down in attack mode.
With venomous snakes and other snakes, you can actually get a read on them and figure out, okay, which way is it going to go? It's probably going to go that way. Am I far enough away? Because a lot of people don't realize that they don't use their entire body to strike. If you can see the length of a snake, you can accurately gauge how far that snake will most likely strike, and that's a third of its body. A third of its body is dedicated to going in that S-pattern coil and striking out. So as long as you're outside of that a good ways, then you're almost always fine. Once you're in that, you're in the strike range, and you will get hit if the snake wants to.
I'd have to say my biggest snake fear would be the anaconda, because that's a big ass
fear.
That's a big ass snake. That snake could eat me and my whole fucking family.
Yeah, that's what they say. Well, not a lot of news articles say about anacondas. They've been proven to eat crocodiles.
See, I had a nightmare one time, or it was not really a nightmare, but it turned into one real quick. I had a nightmare that me and Kevin like were walking down a river path, and like all of a sudden I see this giant anaconda like coming down into the like out from the side of the river going into the water. He just walks past it like it's nothing, and I'm like, Kevin, and he just kept going. And so I just started walking, and all out of nowhere, just like you just see the anaconda just like come up to my face real quick, like a jump scare, and like attack me. Man, I have never jumped out of bed before, but that literally brought me to my feet immediately. I woke up and jumped to my feet. There was no crawling up. It was immediately jumped to my feet, ready to fight.
Oh, God.
It was
Come on,
terrifying.
man. It's just an average morning for me.
Yeah. Anacondas are known to be able to strike, honestly, from any position. Normally, snakes will strike outwards, but anacondas, for some reason, can strike backwards almost. They can contort their bodies where they can strike backwards. That's why they're scary too. And they're the biggest, heaviest snake in the world. They're not the longest by any means. Reticulated has that under its belt. Reticulated can get damn near 28 feet long, while anacondas can only get about 18 to 20 foot long. But anacondas can get about 400 pounds.
Big ass snake.
Yeah, they're the girthiest snake on the planet.
Just keep thinking of the movie Anaconda now.
There's too many snakes on this goddamn plane. Sorry, now I'm thinking of that movie.
There's so many snakes.
Listen, snakes on a plane, it like, obviously, that's just a very realistic scenario. Let's be real here.
It's a cult classic at this point.
No. Snakes on a train was much worse.
Oh, shit.
I'm waiting for spiders in a car.
Just a guy sitting there slapping himself every now and then. Damn spiders.
Quit it, I'm trying to drive. Can't get to work.
I will handle venomous snakes before I handle spiders. They creep me out.
I'll tell you this about spiders. Spiders, you really don't got to worry about too much. They're mostly afraid of you than you are of them. So
Same with snakes.
So like with like black widows or brown recluses, they're not gonna fuck with you unless you fuck with them. And the only spider that I think is a huge asshole more than any other spider in the world is the wolf spider. That bastard will come towards you ready to pick a fight for no damn reason at all. I was spraying a customer's house one time, no, an apartment, and I just walked in and I see this wolf spider walking across the floor, and it stops and it turns and looks at me, and I feel like it bowed up at me. Like it flexed and started coming towards me, so I just like lifted up my B&G and sprayed it, and he's like, oh fuck, and he just like runs off. I was like, that's what you get, you little asshole. Yeah, wolf spiders, those are the ones, and I've been bit by those assholes many times when I used to work on a farm. Their bite hurts, and it sucks. They have huge fangs, but yeah, never mess with wolf spiders. Any other spider, just leave it alone. They'll leave you alone.
Spiders to me just, I can't get over my fear with them.
Listen, I'm a big fan of spiders, okay? I've told this story to a few other people before. One of the biggest kind of things that I like my most fond memory of a spider was like a jumping spider, obviously. You know, those are the spiders that people will generally be like, oh yeah, they're okay. Yeah, they're cute.
They're cute.
But whenever I was going to college, like this was like probably 8 or 9 years back now, literally go in, I was outside on like leaning against a railing, and this little jumping spider kind of walks up like towards me, and it was a cold day out, so the only thing I can imagine is like I don't know how intelligent spiders are, but this one really made me think like, I guess spiders are actually pretty smart. So this little jumping spider comes up, and he keeps like getting closer to me, and so I leaned back off the railing because I was like, all right, I'm gonna kind of let him walk by, I guess. And then he like stopped and just starts staring at me, and I'm like kind of looking back. Then I lean against the railing again, and he starts getting close to me, and I was just like, okay, what what's your game, little dude? And so I just kept leaning there. Then he jumps up on my arm, like just kind of chills out for a minute. So I'm guessing like he was getting warmed up. I don't know. But then like he starts to come down off my arm, and I see a little bug on the other side of my arm right there, and he just jumps off and grabs it. And I was just like, oh,
that's what you wanted.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to take this on, but hey, that's pretty cool, man.
He protected you.
Yeah, well,
you help him, he helps you.
Yeah, I just found it funny because I was like, evidently he was trying to get warmed up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about spiders, but I know that was probably one of the most adorable interactions I've had with a spider.
That's kind of cool. I like the yellow garden spiders. Like, they look terrifying, but they build some of the most interesting webs I've ever seen in my life. Like,
orb reavers.
Yes, they build like the zigzags in their webs, and it's really pretty when you look at it. Now, I've been bit by them before, and they won't hurt. They won't really kill you if you know. I mean, it's the most it's gonna do if you get bit by one is if you do. It's just gonna sting for like a couple of minutes, and it's just gonna leave a big old knot on you for like a couple of days. That's it. I mean, it's not bad. And the only reason why I got bit by one was because, well, with my job, I have to spray people the underneath eaves and stuff like that of their houses. And when you do that, usually you'll just see a bunch of spiders just like dangling down, going, "Oh my god, I'm dying!" And it's like, and so if you're not careful and not paying attention, they'll fall and land on your shoulder. So this was like one of those good reminders for me to be like, hey, kind of keep your eyes open when after you treat someone's house, because they'll land on you and bite you.
You know what that reminds me of? I used to have, I don't anymore, my hair's gotten darker over the years, but I used to have like bright, like pretty much bright red hair, and I hated going out in the summer because parachuting spiders would always freaking land on my head. And I think it's just because, like, again, my hair was bright red, so it was very easy for them to, like, see it and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to aim for that thing.
That's a good landing spot.
Yeah, that looks pretty nice.
Look out below!
Don't land on me.
Don't land on me. Oh, man. Who would have guessed having Zach on would be like a really good educational segment here?
Yeah.
I try to educate people about reptiles as much as I can.
I'm glad that we followed up on the reptile thing, because I always thought that whole segment that Charles shared in the things you need to know was really fascinating. And when I was re-listening to the episode, I was like, man, I wish we would have went into more detail about the reptiles, because that was really interesting. And I'm glad that we talked about reptiles again, because I just think reptiles are fascinating. They really are. Like, if you've never
I wouldn't have gotten 3.
Do what?
Sorry. I would have never have gotten 3 snakes if I didn't think they were fascinating.
They are.
The third one kind of fell in my lap.
Man,
which I'm happy.
I was really glad that you brought them over whenever you came to visit me, because it had been years since I've held a snake, and you know, like, it was kind of like the uneasiness at first, like, man, it's been so long, you know, you get that uneasy feeling, but then, like, as soon as I had, but as soon as he put that snake on me, I was like, oh, come here, you.
and then it was rare that I had my carpet python and my little baby boa, because it's the rarest. It's not really rare, but there are some snakes out there that will feed wherever the hell they're at. There's some of them that they're stressed out to the point where they won't eat unless they're in their cage. But Artemis and Athena, they'll eat wherever they're at, and they ate right there on your floor.
Yeah, it did.
They ate right there.
We thawed out a rat in my sink and fed the snakes.
Thawed out a rat. That's a term that I don't like to hear very often.
Yeah, I mean, it takes for the size of the food that Athena eats, which is my carpet python. She's roughly 4 years old, estimated. She was a rehome from another owner that couldn't take care of it properly. Like, they couldn't feasibly take care of it because they didn't have a big enough cage. So I went all the way down to El Dorado, 2.5-hour drive, to get this snake and bring it back and put it in the cage I built for it, which was a 6 foot by 3 foot by 2.5 foot cage. So
yeah,
it has all the room.
It's one of the big things that I think people don't understand about getting snakes and the like, is they'll just buy like a little aquarium, and they'll be like, oh, this will be fine. It's like, it
works,
really.
But doesn't.
Yeah, you kind of need more. You need a bit more space. You need more air flow to be able to come in. This and that. It's just it stresses out the animal if you.
It's not even
all the time.
It's not even really about airflow. It's more about insulation. Glass aquariums, which I can't say too much bad things. There is a giant debate between plastic bins, PVC, and glass. And I have 2 glass terrariums for 2 of my snakes. I can't say it, but I've insulated it to the point where they're always nice and toasty. That's the one thing you have to do is the heat doesn't stay really good in there, and the humidity. The humidity is the biggest issue with glass tanks. It doesn't keep it for shit.
Yeah.
So to combat that, say like, okay, you're gonna get a ball python at PetSmart because that's where most people always go because they don't try to find a breeder. Okay, all your stuff you need is technically there. You have in your glass aquarium, which you can just buy a terrarium, which is already prepackaged, but it's your money. Do whatever you want. You'll get the aquarium. Say like you'll get, oh, okay, it's a baby snake, so I'll just get a really big cage so I don't have to worry about it later. No, don't do that. You have to build, like, you have to put your snake in a tiny cage on purpose. Putting a baby ball python in a 40-gallon tank will most likely kill it because they will be so stressed to the highest amounts. You have to grow the cage with the snake.
Huh.
Because you gotta realize where, like, this is where the research part comes in. If you've done your research enough, you'll know that ball pythons come from Africa. They live in termite mounds. You realize how tight termite mounds get? It's very tight spaces. They like to be cramped. Not too cramped, but they like to be cramped. When I got my ball python, she was in a 10-gallon cage, for a 10-gallon enclosure, for about, I would say, 6 months. And then I upgraded it to a 20-gallon. And right now I need to upgrade it to a 40-gallon, and that's an end-of-life enclosure for a ball python. A female can easily surmount into a 40-gallon for the rest of its life. A male can fit in a 30-gallon for the rest of its life. It won't get any bigger.
Wow, I just learned something.
A lot. Yeah, because I get asked that question at PetSmart and Petco quite a bit. How do you get started owning, like, say, a ball python? And I tell them that, and they'll tell me what they know first, and then I stop immediately if they're saying they're getting a 40-gallon tank. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. It's too much room. It sounds contradictive, but
no, that makes sense because I feel like if the snake has too much room and it's one of those kind of snakes that needs to have like a small
hide,
a certain environment, because like a lot of snakes burrow, you know. And if it's not a place where they can actually feel comfortable at, they're going to be too stressed out. And yes, reptiles will die under stress.
They won't eat, they won't drink, and they will die on purpose because they're too stressed out. I mean, ball pythons are especially, what's the word?
Susceptible.
There you go. Thank you. Another snake owner. They're very susceptible to stress, more so than any other species that I know of personally. Maybe green tree boas are susceptible to stress just because they're arboreal. You mess with them too much, they get really antsy. Yeah, you gotta grow the cage with the snake. It's expensive, yes, but this is what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
This is the requirements of owning a reptile, alongside with the research you would hopefully have done. You realize they're more so of a commitment than a dog. A dog average lifespan for a normal dog, say like a rat terrier, is about 12 to 15 years. The average lifespan of a ball python is around 30 years if you take care of it right. They're a huge responsibility, and dedicate that much time to an animal. I dare you.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the same thing going into parrots that people don't understand. Like parrots and some types of birds, they can live to be like 20, 30 years old.
Same with, and then tortoises and turtles, they outclass everything. They can live over 100 years.
I do love turtles, though. I used to have pet turtles all the time, and I love turtles.
Like an Aldabra and a Galapagos tortoise, they'll live easily 60, 80 years. Easily, without even blinking. So they will outlive you.
So the point
is,
The point is, people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm interrupting. Sorry, I get passionate with reptiles.
Hey, no, that's good. I was gonna say the point is, people, if you're gonna own a reptile or any kind of pet, really in general at all, just commit to it. You're gonna have to realize that you need to commit to this and do your research, and
that's
especially if you've never owned a reptile before. I'm actually thinking about getting another reptile one day. I might get another bearded dragon because I like bearded dragons. They're pretty chill.
They're absolutely easy to take care of. The only thing I would say is never get a heat rock. from any
No,
store.
no, I always
Never get a pet rock, heat rock ever. They will kill your reptiles. Oh god.
I was about to say, never get a pet rock. I don't know. I feel like that'd be the easiest one to take care of.
Yeah, I know, right? Damn it! My pet rock took a pee.
Who took a shit on my table?
But yes, heat rocks, they're notorious for burning snakes, burning bearded dragons, geckos, all the like. Undertank eaters are the way to go.
Now I'm just imagining like a kid trying to blame like stuff on the pet rock.
I know, right?
Who the fuck shredded my documents? It was the pet rock, I swear.
You silly child. Paper defeats rock. I know it wasn't like that.
Why is my glass broken? And the pet rock took itself outside.
Billy, why didn't you do your homework? My pet rock ate it.
Mom, the pet rock attacked the kid down the street.
What have I started? What have I started?
God, that's like the best scam that anybody has ever played on the entire world is the pet rock. I swear.
And they've actually didn't they do an episode?
Oh, they made a lot of money off pet rocks too.
Oh, yeah.
That was the weirdest thing about it.
Man,
so what'd you name your pet rock there, Jimmy?
It's
Rocky.
written on it. It's written on it, idiot. Just look at the rock.
Look at its asshole and you'll see.
Oh,
look at its googly eyes.
That's disturbing.
Oh dear God, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. More so than Phasmophobia.
Oh man, we need to play that again.
Yes, please. They're actually adding 3 new maps.
Oh, are they?
They're adding I believe a prison, a apartment complex, and shit, I can't remember the third one. I know they're adding 3 though.
Well,
Like when I say prison, I'm talking about like Eastern State Penitentiary levels of prison.
nothing like angry prisoner ghosts to deal with.
And I think they're gonna be adding more ghosts and the ability for some of the ghosts to kill multiple people at the same time.
You know, real quick before I let you go, Zach, you actually kind of brought up a question I've had for a long time when it comes to ghosts, and I want to kind of get both y'all's opinion on this. You know how like most ghost hunters will go out and go explore asylums because they're like, oh, those are the worst ghosts because, you know, it's just a bunch of mentally unstable people that died there. And I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, you know, when you're dead and if you're a spirit, you no longer have your brain, which is the reason why they're there is because you have a malfunctioning muscle that isn't properly working and it's making you act that way. Would you still be that way when you're dead, or is it just what you know when you're alive is what you know when you're in the afterlife?
I think the concept of ghosts generally boils down to that the ghost may not even be you anymore. It's like a shadow or a remnant of who you were in life that's like angrily stalking still.
It's basically having say you have regrets in life, and it's those regrets that are lingering in this plane.
Oh god, I got a lot of regrets. I wonder what my ghost is gonna be like. I always think
Your ghost is just gonna steal people's porn subscriptions.
I feel like my ghost is gonna I told Kevin, I was like, if I ever die before you, I'm gonna haunt you, and you're gonna be sitting there one night trying to get it on with some girl in bed, and you're just gonna hear me sitting there going. And he's gonna be like, Zach, get the fuck out of here, and you just hear me just run down the hallway.
It happens, Peter. It happens just like in the Paranormal Activity movies, like the door just slams shut and then the bed like shifts to the side because you're angry you're being yelled at.
Yeah. I don't want to do it, Mom. I don't want to clean up my room.
I'm gonna be like one of those ghosts that just fucks with you, and they'd be like, you come home, you're gonna see me writing on the walls with grape jelly, pizza. They're like, what does that mean? Pizza.
Yeah, you get your freaking little spirit box thing. What do you want? Pizza.
Pizza, bitch.
Well, okay, if you started cussing at me, I would sell the house and you in it.
Burn it to the ground.
Every single house I move into, the first thing I say when I walk into a house, I'm like, look, there better not be no ghosts, no spirits, no demons, no nothing in this house. If you're going to be here, you're going to pay rent. Nobody's going to stay here. And I usually do pretty okay.
Yeah. I always think there's something in my house.
If something does happen, I ignore it.
Then I forget that I have freaking mice in my attic.
I just have upstairs and downstairs neighbors that are loud all the time. One of the many benefits of living in an apartment.
I got hyper lucky with my house. Thank you, Dad. Thank you.
Well, Zach, we appreciate you having you on the show, and we'll hope we'll have you on again soon. So
yeah,
it was good having you, man. You take it easy, okay?
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye, Zach.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. We had a lot of interesting stuff to go over. We had some laughs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where all I can really say to sign off for today is just stay good, everybody.
Yep, and remember, until next time, what's good, baby? Hey, thanks for listening to the show. What's Good Baby can be heard on Anchor FM, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and at our website at obscuredcartoons.com. Become a member on our Discord and join the fun and stay in touch with our community. Join the show as a special guest through the Discord and be heard. All links are provided in the description down below and on our website. Until next time, what's good, baby? You want to do the guest intro this time, Charles, or do you want me to do it again? I'll do it. I'll do it.
I mean, I can do it if you want me to. I don't care.
Okay. Be sure to also tell the viewers how they
Say
can
hello,
join
everyone. What is good, Babbitt? Today guest another Zach. Big penis. Unlike our Zach.
Hey, whoa.
If want
Mine's
show,
Mine's detachable.
if want join show, their waiting room in Discord. Happy fun time. Read magazine.
Okay,
Wait.
Do you mind if we do a retake on that? It's not that I didn't like that take. It's just
You weren't recording. I understand.
Oh, I was recording.
I'm sorry. This is funny. Me?